Well, good afternoon. It's good to have with me a couple of guys. You wouldn't believe that it's a couple of guys because we can see Greg Hawkins' face, but Doug Slaybaugh is being represented by his cute dog. Doug, what's your dog's name?
His name is Rocky.
Rocky. Doug's being represented by Rocky today because we could not get his video going, and I'm sure it's a problem. It's a Skype issue, I'm sure, and not a Doug Slaybaugh or a Rocky issue, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Tony.
All right, well, I won't go through the detail of trying to introduce you guys and share a little bit of your story. I'll let you do it yourselves. So, Greg, why don't you go first?
Sure. I'm the executive pastor at Willow Creek. I've been in that role since 1996. I started working here in 1991, bringing in small groups, and prior to that, I was in the marketplace as a management consultant for 5 years with a firm called McKinsey & Company. And in addition, and so as an executive pastor, I'm responsible for day-to-day leadership stuff. And one of the roles has been strategic planning and alignment for those last 15, 16 years. Along the way, about 8 years ago, started doing research on why people grow spiritually, how they grow, and what role churches play. And that led to what's now called Reveal. That book, Reveal, and the latest book we've written is called Move. So that's sort of my set of we have 6 campuses here at Willow. I'm responsible for where they're all headed, how we get there, day-to-day implementation of strategy. So that's a little bit of my story.
Well, Greg, just as a side note, because we'll go to a different place in today's conversation. Last book I just finished was Move. It's a great book, and I really do challenge church leaders to pick that up and read it. You're compiling data from well over 500 churches, isn't that correct?
Yeah, well, no, it's over 1,000 churches, and now actually we've been in 1,500 churches. We're nearing 500,000 people.
Wow.
And I mean, it's staggering what we're learning. I mean, in some ways we've just tipped the iceberg, at the tip of the iceberg of what we're understanding. But yeah.
And it's a book all about discipleship and maybe helping people think about that differently. So great book, you should read it. And Doug, share a little bit about your story.
Well, as you can see, I'm a late-stage dog lover here. After 29 years of depriving our 3 sons of dogs, we finally got one, and now we love it. I've been married to my sweetheart for 34 years. I have 3 20-something sons, daughter-in-law. We're in a wonderful season of life. I've spent the last 30 years in the church kingdom space. I sort of cut my teeth in the 80s in the church growth movement with Carl George, Peter Wagner, working for Fuller Institute, doing seminars for pastors. That was where I had the opportunity to work with Hybels, Willow Creek, and Maxwell, and it's where I met Rick Warren. And then in '92, Rick asked me to come and help launch, which later became Purpose Driven. It started as a seminar, 2-day seminar that we took across the country, and spent the next 13 years taking it around the world, actually. And it was an amazing adventure, so much experience, so much transformation. While I was there, I was also one of the pastors and was able to serve in a variety of roles. I was part of the executive team. And then in '06, I stepped out of that and went into my own private practice. That's where I am now. I've been doing this for 6 years. I'm also partners with 2 other guys, Pete Richardson and Michael Murphy, at the Patterson Center, which is a training organization, training people in the Patterson process.
Well, and Doug, that's exactly where I wanted to launch the conversation today. Privileged, by the way, to have 2 guys that have been very involved in key ministries across the country. But both of you have this bent towards strategic planning. And Doug, I wanted to hear a little bit more about one of the opportunities through the Patterson Center, and that's this StratOp process. I've had the chance to go through the training, but could you talk to us a little bit about StratOp and why churches in particular need this?
Well, thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. It was wonderful to have you experience it firsthand. The StratOp process, just real simply put, is a 3-day followed up with a 2-day facilitated led team planning experience that steps out of one's normal routine of weekend execution, which is where all of us, if you're in church work, every 7 days you're in that routine of execution. And the StratOp process allows a team, executive team, to pause and to ask these 3 questions. Where do we stand? What has gotten us to where we're at? Where are we heading, which is our kind of strategic vision? And then how are we going to get there? And then collectively as a team, we'll take the next 3 days and develop a strategic operational plan for action.
It's a great process. Like I said, I've been through it, and one of the things I love about this process is it's not some consultant coming in and telling a church or another organization, these are the next steps you should take. It's about helping that organization get perspective of where they are and helping them define next steps. And Greg, I know this is something that you're using at Willow. So
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about how you've used the StratOp process at Willow Creek?
Yeah. We've had a planning process in place for the last 15, 16 years, and worked every 6 months, got buy-in from everybody. It's been very helpful. I was introduced to the StratOp process about 3 years ago or so, and we brought it into Will last January, so that had been about 18 months ago. And it is so much better than anything else we've ever done. And we've brought it to all our campuses at the Willow overall level, at each of the 6 campuses, within major departments within all those campuses. And it's really provided extraordinary focus, clarity, alignment. We're now reaping the benefits of a lot of the work we started 18 months ago. So a lot of the projects that were launched out of that work, we're starting to see on the first, second, third cycle. We just went 1,000 people through a new evangelism training that came out of that. We launched Alpha at all our congregations, something we've always thought about doing but never took the step until StratOp showed that was something to do. Lots of things in discipleship area, group life, rebuilt a whole infrastructure. So it's really been a great thing, very accessible to people too. Again, like you said, it's not a consultant coming in. It's very collaborative, participatory. This morning I spent with our North Shore campus. I spent all morning in a StratOp process with them. We're going to finish that up tomorrow. And they were raving about how the gains they've made in the last year since that we first did their first StratOp back in May of 2011. It's our fastest growing campus. You see a lot of initiatives that got launched out of that. So, I mean, it's really, in a very practical way, day-to-day, helping our church move forward.
And Doug, it's great to hear Greg share the story about what's happening at Willow. The first instinct might be, well, it's Willow, though, and they have resources and people and opportunities that most churches don't have. But I know you're working with many other churches to use the StratOp process as well.
Absolutely. And, I've now had the opportunity to work with churches of 300, 450, 750, those trying to break that 800,000 barrier. Worked with churches of 1,500, 3,000, 7,000. The process is not a cookie cutter. It's designed to be customized and to adapt. And of course, at every, I've been on staff at all sizes of churches and realized, it's just size and scope of the issues. Yeah. And so what's cool about the process, Patterson process, is, we're facilitators. The process is process. The team is the content. Mm-hmm. So we have a selected series of tools where we use flip charts, and we begin at a perspective level, at a sort of a mountaintop vantage point, stepping out of the valley floor, which is kind of the day-to-day, weekend, and to get a perspective. And then we spent a day and a half getting perspective through a variety of tools. And then out of that perspective, we then begin to build the plan, which is really the second phase of the process, is building a core plan of where are we heading and how we're going to get there. Then we wrap up the 3 days with what's important now. What are the wins? So then it gets very specific of who, what, when. So it isn't just kind of dreams, but they're dreams that are committed to action.
And Doug, I'll be honest, it's probably what you just referenced last in your comments that has really brought me to the place where, like Greg mentioned, I had a strategic planning process that I used with churches in the past, but I've completely unplugged what I was doing before and have started using the StratOp process because of that. And most strategic planning I've done in the past, unfortunately, what oftentimes ends up happening is you end up with a plan and a 3-ring binder that just ends up on a shelf someplace. Yeah. And what I love about StratOp is it ultimately gets to those wins, action initiatives where teams are built around them, a leader is identified, measurements are put in place, and there are specific steps to make sure that plan actually gets put into action. Greg, one of the things, and this is, I think, is a question that I run into when I'm working with churches, and I'm wondering if you see this, that I think churches have learned, and a lot of this is due to the great teaching we've had from Hybels through the years, but understanding the critical importance of clear vision. Yeah. But without strategic planning, without a plan to accomplish that vision, I think churches are still left confused and without a sense of what needs to happen next. Do you find that to be the case?
Yeah, it's very true. You can spend all the time on vision. It's lovely, and if that's your natural makeup is to spend time in vision space, and you like that kind of thing, that's very fun. But I'm a pragmatist. I like to get stuff done. I actually like to see people's lives changed. Mm-hmm. And I have to translate that vision into day-to-day reality. And that's what I like about the StratOp process. It never separates those two. You can never talk about the future without connecting it to what you're going to do different tomorrow. And you don't talk about tomorrow without connecting it to where you're headed for the vision. So you have that great alignment. And so it's just very pragmatic. And we all, even Willow, we all have scarce resources where we don't have all the money to put against this. So being crystal clear about how vision then gets translated to priorities. And then we take our resources against those set of priorities to pursue effectiveness. And so then we're always tweaking those set of priorities, like but it's always, subordinated to where the vision is and what we're doing. And so it's just very pragmatic and very accessible. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to use it. I've used it I've done over the last 18 months, I think 20 different teams from an overall campus to just our children's ministry or student ministries and that kind of thing. And every single one of them has not failed to produce an insight that was very meaningful to that team, specific work that they didn't anticipate, and a shifting of their priorities. And from, teams that have 2 part-time people on their team to teams that have 30 paid staff. So a lot of different assortments along that. And the set of tools is very robust enough so that you can pick and choose and find the right conversations to have to surface those issues. So it's been very, very helpful it's to translate vision into reality. And that's then when you see reality change and the vision actually is starting to be achieved, then that creates some very cool energy to keep pursuing that, to keep getting better at that. And you actually feel like, dreams can come true. You can start seeing things change in your church and in people's lives.
Doug, I'm excited about this opportunity that's coming up this fall. When I went through the training for the StratOp process, it was a mix of people from all different types of organizations, marketplace, nonprofits. There were some other churches there. But there's an opportunity coming up this fall just for church leaders as it relates to this process. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Both Greg and I wanted to provide this training specifically for those who are working within the church world, church space. Both of us are steeped in that. We know how sometimes business terminology, business planning can create a barrier with the tools. And so the nature of this training is those attending will be either church leaders wanting to take it back to their church and use it internally, or those who are working with churches like yourself, Tony, and want to help churches with it. The school, the date is October 29th through November 2nd, and we're privileged to have Will's going to host it there in Chicago, Barrington, and it'll start at Monday noon and ends Friday noon, and there'll be 25 students, so the teacher-student ratio, it's very interactive. So we teach you the concept, then you practice it with a partner, flip charts, you learn how to use flip charts, how to be a facilitator, and then we actually take you through the 3-day process, like you're actually going through it, so that when you're finished with the school, our goal is that you would leave equipped with the Patterson process to take it back to the world in which you serve.
That's outstanding. And as you mentioned, this training is for guys like me that are helping churches, but in particular, I think this is a great opportunity for either senior pastors or executive pastors or the types of leaders working on staff that are involved in strategic planning for their church. Greg, I mean, wouldn't you see that this is a great opportunity for church leaders as well?
It's fantastic. I mean, and for us... I mean,
one moment. There's work being done outside, so let me close the window here. Doug, this is not quite the same as your dog picture, but I was a little bit of a technical glitch there.
Wow. Well, there's grace, Tony.
Yes, thank you. Greg, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine. I mean, I think as a practitioner, it's a set of tools that I use every day. I mean, one of the tools is used every week by our weekend planning team to evaluate how they do weekend services. I mean, so there's a robust set of tools that can be put into play right away. We have each of our campuses, most of them have an executive pastor there functioning as a number 2, training them in the process. I mean, I want to have 10, 15 people in Willow over time trained in the process to not just lead overall, but lead in their area of ministry as well. So, I mean, seriously, I wish I had these set of tools 15 years ago when I started doing this. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. But, so it's very practical. It's not hard to master. And now I have 2 other colleagues here who are trained in it. Actually, 3 others who are trained in it. And we use them all the time and get together and share notes. And I mean, it's been a very powerful thing. It's one of the most powerful set of tools I've ever been exposed to, quite honestly, in my professional life, both, as a paid management consultant and certainly as a church leader.
Well, that's very good. Again, guys, I have a great deal of respect for both of you, so it was a privilege to be able to connect with you today. And I do want to encourage folks to check out thepattersoncenter.com if you want more details about the process or the training. And Doug, you mentioned there's actually a Twitter account as well?
Oh, it's myself, actually.
Oh, well, we want your Twitter account.
There you go. It's at Doug Slaybaugh. So I think you tweeted today, so if they just go to yours, they'll find it.
Okay, and Greg, have we convinced you to get on Twitter yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, that's all right. Stay far, far away. And Doug, does Rocky have a Twitter account?
He does not. I'm not that crazy about him. Come on.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys, for joining us. It was a
Tony.
privilege to do this.
Thanks very much.